Welcome back to Fire Service Warrior. I want to talk today about developing mental toughness. And this is a topic that has always been very near and dear to me, and it's always been sort of at the heart of what we tried to accomplish with Fire Service Warrior previously, and it's something that I want to return to. Mental toughness is something that many people will say can't be taught. It's something that you possess or something that you're born with, something you've developed over time. And I will say this, I don't believe anybody's born with mental toughness. I believe that people are born with a set of neurological wiring that may predispose them to learn mental toughness skills. But I believe each and every one of us who displays mental toughness has learned that skill. It is not an innate skill. And what we can do is develop our learning of that skill. Tactical occupational athletes tend to look to the work that emerges out of organizations like Naval Special Warfare, the United States Army Special Operations Command, to give us guidance on how to perform mental toughness training, mental skills training. Something that's important to reflect on, though, is that those organizations utilize a selection and assessment process that weeds out folks who don't already have a fairly high baseline level of mental toughness. Fire department and police department recruiting often doesn't possess the same type of selection and assessment process. This is not an indictment of the fire department or police department style selection and assessment. It's a recognition that we just don't have the same baseline entry requirement. What that means is that our communities are not necessarily recruiting as high volume of people who have already cultivated the mental toughness skills, the resiliency skills that we see in members of special operations units that we look to as sort of our basis for a lot of what we build on. What's important to recognize is that mental toughness skills, resiliency skills, are just that. They are learned skills. They may have been learned before you came to the trade, or they may be learned in the trade. With that said, what I think folks should focus on as they begin their quest for understanding mental skills training and sort of mental toughness training is this. You are a survival machine. As you look at conducting your own mental skills training, your own mental toughness training, whether this be organizationally or for yourself as an individual, what you need to recognize is that high stress, dynamic environments increase the level of sympathetic nervous system activation that we experience. The sympathetic nervous system is what primes our fight or flight response. And our fight or flight response is the evolutionary mechanism that nature has used to keep us alive, to keep us in the gene pool. This is important because we have a tendency to treat ourselves as very rational creatures. However, just like I've written on the board here, that rationality is layered on top of this evolutionary characteristic that's kept us alive. When we design training, when we design mental toughness skills, when we design stress inoculation training, we need to remember that the cognitive learning we do with our rational minds is important and necessary and critical. However, it has to recognize the underlying evolutionary context in which we operate. When we train our sympathetic nervous system, we need to do it using behavioral cues. This behavioral system is one that allows us to recall it. This is why we talk so much about using arousal control mechanisms like tactical breathing. Tactical breathing is an arousal control mechanism that has a behavioral component, and those behaviors interact with the feedback loops that we have. We're going to start talking more and more about cognitive behavioral learning and the mechanisms that we can leverage in our training programs to enhance our cognitive behavioral learning. Cognitive, using our knowledge acquisition process to lay a foundation by which we can then use behavioral learning to focus on what we need to do to be able to thrive in high stress, dynamic environments. Thanks for coming and checking this out today. Please let me know exactly what you would like to learn from me in the Fire Service Warrior format as we continue to talk about stress inoculation training, mental toughness training, and learning how to thrive in high stress, dynamic environments. It's something we're going to keep working on. It's something we're going to come back to. As always, thanks for spending some time with me today. I appreciate your support. Please check out adultacademy.org if you'd like to buy a book, a t-shirt, anything like that. Fire Service Warrior Foundation's books are back in print and available. We'll see you soon. Cheers.